Good evening and happy holidays. I'm Stephanie Finaldi.
And I'm Brian Grady.
Welcome to MxCC News. First up tonight, what exactly is going through the minds of college students after Thanksgiving break?
MxCC News reporter Connor Smith shares the story.
Thanksgiving have come and gone, so students are now back at school. While students here at MxCC are still going to classes in person, there are many colleges with students living on campus that have decided to do the last couple of weeks completely online.
Yeah, not letting students back on full online classes.
I wish that, obviously I wish this was a normal semester, especially it's hard for me to retain information as well on the online format.
Drew Ellison has been commuting to Eastern Connecticut State University this year, while Colin Sprague has been living on campus at the University of New Hampshire. Both of these colleges have decided to switch to online learning for the last 2 weeks of their semester. This has been done to try and reduce the number of cases of coronavirus at the campus.
There is no way to bring back that many people in a safe way, especially if it's only for 2.5 weeks. From an academic point of view, it doesn't even really make sense considering the risk that you would take on as burden if you were to bring back that many people.
This switch to online learning could be an issue as well, since there are students who learn better in a classroom rather than on a computer screen, especially with finals coming up.
It's a very confusing semester. I feel like a lot of students are suffering in general with this shift. It's hard to get used to. I know I've had my own struggles this semester with getting stuff done and just having the motivation, finding the motivation to actually get things done has been very tough.
Even if that can be the case for some struggling students, the two agree that the switch to online classes is the best move to do for the safety of their fellow college students and themselves.
This is our generation's garbage that we got to deal with. Every generation deals with garbage, and this is just ours that we got to deal with.
Yeah, this sucks, but be kind to one another. We're good. We're all good. We'll get through it. We'll be all right.
This has been Connor Smith with MxCC News. Back to you.
Thank you, Connor. MxCC students aren't the only ones impacted. The corona is affecting schools and campuses everywhere.
There's never a bad time to donate clothes. With the holiday season and colder weather around us, Jeans for Teens in Colchester is lending a hand and a glove. MxCC News reporter Alex Turner explored how these donations are making a difference in the community.
Jeans for Teens has a drop-off bin here at Cragen Memorial Library for all the electronics. Tablets, Chromebooks, laptops, and smartphones in any working condition are welcome to be donated. The bin will be at the library from October 26th through November 16th.
The students need help and everything, and you don't have to donate money. You don't have to donate like a brand new tablet, iPad, like phone, whatever can access the internet. Like we want like the used ones. Like kids really don't care as long as they can get to where they're supposed to like get and do what they're supposed to do. Like that's what matters.
They really all started off as a really small GoFundMe that really just branched off at like the first thing we did was donated to a daycare, Castle Daycare in Colchester, Connecticut. And then we just started donating to many places we can. We just like helping people. That's what we're here to do.
After their first organized event, a clothing drive at Jack Jachter Intermediate School, a friend and local artist named Jamarly Wright reached out to Olivia and Tyler about a new fundraiser idea involving the elementary students in Montego Bay, Jamaica.
I actually got in contact with one of my family members after we were sharing the Jeans for Teens flyer all over the internet. One of my family members actually still in Jamaica told me the high schools are actually aren't really filling the tablets as much as well, which I didn't really know about because it was hard to find articles on that. But I would say our next move would probably be try to help out. If we do anything again for Montego Bay, I think we possibly will. Possibly the tablets for the high school students, just because I feel like that's probably the next. I would say the step I would probably want to go in for sure, because they can't graduate high school without that. With everything kind of going on right now, it's almost it kind of falls under more activism for BLM, and then that's what also made me proud to want to stand up for Jamaica, because of course BLM doesn't only stand in America. Black Lives Matters literally everywhere. So that was kind of another look I had on it. I want more activism. It would kept the momentum going for BLM. Personally for me, it was a good collaboration as well for Jeans for Teens to work on. So yeah, it was something I was really proud to want to take on for sure.
Our future plans are trying to collab with brands like even like Levi, like just like normal jeans that like we can get out that are like cool for kids to wear, but also like affordable for their families.
From Colchester, Alex Turner, MxCC News.
For more information on future events, check out the Jeans for Teens Facebook page.
The Magic Food Bus is back and business is booming. The campus tradition is up and running with new restrictions because of the pandemic. MxCC News reporter Joe Scott takes a look at how they are managing the influx of business.
Growing problem of food insecurity in the area of Middletown since the pandemic began. We went to Middlesex Community College's Magic Food Bus to see how they're handling these challenges.
The pandemic has reduced the total number of students on campus. Maybe 2/3 of most of the classes are online and only 1/3 are on campus. So we switched the Magic Food Bus hours from Monday through Friday, several hours a day, to Tuesday through Thursday, pretty much all day.
With there being less students on campus because of online classes, there has been a drop in the total number of shoppers for the Magic Food Bus.
I should be down 66%, but I'm only down about 40%. So there's still a pretty substantial demand considering the fewer students we have on campus.
There has also been extra precautions put in place to protect customers from the spread of COVID-19.
We used to permit shoppers to pick their own items from the pantry and the bus. Because of the pandemic, we pre-package everything so it's literally no contact. As much as we can, we put the tables and chairs in good weather at the bus outside. We up the number of items a shopper can pick per month from 30, I think, to 35. So more items per shopper, primarily due to the pandemic and demand.
The pandemic has also affected the Veterans Memorial Garden, which has supplied Magic Food Bus with vegetables and other crops.
We would have normally planted in late spring a crop. They wouldn't let us do it, so there was nothing planted, so there were no crops, vegetables and stuff to give out in the early fall. And hopefully the pandemic gets a little better for activities on campus. We look forward to probably doing a planting in about early April 1 in the garden.
This has been Joseph Scott reporting from Middlesex Community College.
Thank you, Joe. Speaking of food, what is your favorite Christmas dish?
Well, I always like to grab a couple of those cookies that someone always leaves out by the fireplace. I don't know, they're always there. Grocery stores are seeing an increase in shopping during the pandemic. People are spending more time at home, and that means more time in the kitchen and more cookies. MxCC News reporter Vanessa Lesmez joins us with that story.
Thanks, Brian. While COVID-19 surged around the world, essential workers became the new superheroes in this new reality. It became almost unpredictable how people and workers would adjust to the new state regulations and guidelines.
Essential workers are a term we hear often during this pandemic.
Wait, we're on?
Chris Palm is one essential worker at his local grocery store who is also adjusting to the new now.
For their employees, we had to always wash our hands like after every 3 customers or after touching any equipment. And for at least 20 seconds, we always had to wear a mask. Kind of like starting in the beginning of March. Our store was pretty good with limiting the amount of customers that they allowed in the store at one time.
Adjusting to and following COVID-19 guidelines for essential workers and customers has been a challenge.
At first, the customers were a bit surprised by the changes in rules.
Working in the deli department isn't a walk in the park, especially with the new regulations.
We would have to ask them to stand 6 feet apart in a nice manner. And if they did not listen, we did not actually have the power to do anything else. We would just walk away as the employee.
Before the pandemic, customers were accustomed to getting a sample before they purchased their product. Now state safety rules prohibit that. Customers have to keep their distance and can't try before they buy.
Some of the customers would not react in the most kind manner if they wanted to try a sample. but we just assured them it was for their own safety, and that's what we had to do to protect ourselves and them.
This is Vanessa Lesmus reporting for Middlesex News.
In the midst of a pandemic, workers maintain their composure if a customer has a meltdown, and they are grateful for shoppers who respect the regulations and guidelines.
Thank you, Vanessa. We're all still adjusting to changes at the stores.
Coming up next, how the MakeAWish program is keeping hope alive. We'll tell you about the changes they've made to keep granting wishes during the pandemic.
And after that, music venues have suffered huge losses since this March. We'll see how they're still trying to make money. Next on MxCC News.
I chose Middlesex because they had a lot of different programs that I was interested in. For me, it was just easier to come here part-time and also keep my job. Middlesex, I would say, helped me get my foot in the door in the news business. The Center for New Media has all the stuff that I see daily at News 8 to be able to jump on and say, I have experience with a control room, I have experience with a TV studio. It's definitely a good choice.
I was homeschooled, and after doing a lot of research, I found MxCC, and it looked like a really good fit for me because I wanted to transfer to UConn, and they have the Pathways program. Being homeschooled, it was nice to have smaller classes. The professors really helped me understand the material. I really felt that Middlesex was invested in my education. It's one of the greatest experiences I've had.
Graduations have been tough due to schools being more restrictive and even canceling events due to the coronavirus.
That didn't stop Lincoln Tech students from graduating virtually. Middlesex reporter Abdul Samed has more on that story.
For the class of 2020,
I wish you the absolute best and ask that you keep in touch with us because after all, you are now Lincoln Tech East Windsor alumni. Congratulations and thank you.
virtual ceremony is not what the students expected. During this pandemic, Lincoln Tech in East Windsor created an edited graduation video to stream it live for the class of 2020 to interact.
Although none of us had ever imagined our commencement ceremony to be behind a computer screen, I am grateful for the opportunity to make the most of this not-so-traditional event.
While many graduates are worried about the uncertainty in the job market amid the COVID-19 pandemic,
everyone's dealing with the same thing that you are. Take your time, go through the interview process. You know, a lot of these things are going to be virtual. Take your time with it. We're still available here at the school if you want to talk to us to have any mock interviews or discuss anything prior to taking your interview with the shop to help you get that job.
Morgan, the only in-person graduate at the ceremony, she is hopeful and ready.
And I think Lincoln Tech has prepared me for that by giving me so many hands-on skills, as well as teaching me so much about the theory.
While behind the scene, Morgan encourages the graduate to still cherish this moment.
I think that we have to remind ourselves that we still did it. This is still our graduation, although it's not what we intended it to be. I think we just need to make the most of it and be thankful that we're all coming together to make this happen.
These 40 newly graduates are now Lincoln Tech East Windsor alumni.
I'm Abdul Samed. Back to you.
Congratulations to the new Lincoln Tech alumni.
Athletes have dealt with difficulty caused by the pandemic. Times have been tough, particularly for those playing sports in high school.
Here's a look at how a local baseball player changed with the pandemic. The coronavirus put a damper on many sports this year, but it couldn't stop baseball. After this season, Stadium Talk, a popular sports website, named Bristol native Gavin Gregory the #1 baseball player in Connecticut. We talked to Gavin about his current workout routine.
I do 2 workouts a day. First one I do at 5 a.m. before I go to school. And I usually do like a push-pull workout. And then the second part of the day is usually either a legs or a core workout. Some days I do like a pitching type workout. Some days I just do agility. Some days I'll do cardio.
Prior to putting out the list, the Gregors had no idea Gavin was on it.
I actually had a friend message me the article, so I knew nothing of this.
We had a Headmasters Day, which is a day off, and I had no clue that I was even on that list. And I got a text from my mom, and she sent it to our family group chat, and she said, well, scroll down to Connecticut. And I was thinking it was going to be somebody from, one of my teams that I played with or a close friend. And when I got to Connecticut, it was me.
I'm very proud of Gavin. I think he's worked very hard at his craft. I'm very impressed with him, but he continues to work hard, and I think he needs to continue doing what he loves to do and be successful at it.
It makes me want to work harder, push harder, so I could keep that label, if you would call it. But it's definitely a good feeling because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people who helped me along the way to get to this point. But it's definitely an unreal feeling for sure.
We reached out to the writer of the article about his thought process behind the ranking. I used some overall judgment things, like recruiting rankings, Division I, commits all-state, and all-conference stuff, but mainly I relied on my own feelings about the players. With Connecticut and Gavin Gregory, he was actually one of the few underclassmen that made the list, which speaks to how good of a player not just I, but others think he is. If all goes well, baseball will continue to be played throughout the state of Connecticut. If you'd like to keep up with Gavin and his baseball journey, why don't you swing by Avon Old Farms this spring and catch yourself a game. In Avon, Brian Grady, MxCC News.
Brian, any idea where Gavin hopes to play college ball?
Stephanie, I don't know, but I bet it's somewhere with a dream and a baseball. With many schools canceling live productions, MxCC News reporter Tauren Micklis takes a look at one school that is making it work.
Birmingham High School has managed to put on their winter play through Zoom and Google Meets.
I find that working with a large group is kind of interesting.
How do the seniors feel about this situation, this being their last show?
From my perspective, it's pretty much the same where it comes down to you still get to have the fun with your cast members and interacting with them, but you lose a lot of that physical connection, or that in that sense you might almost have an emotional disconnect.
Since we are doing it completely virtually, there is just not even just an emotional disconnect, but also some people sometimes aren't paying attention, and then we have to get their attention to say oh, your part's coming up. So it has been a little bit of a struggle, but I think we've pulled through, and it's been very fun and an enjoyable experience.
As we all know by now, there are certain aspects of human conversation that are not translatable through video.
Theater is so kinesthetic that's the element that is sometimes missing from what we're doing. In theater, your whole body moves. The stage is always it's a picture that's always in flux, and we don't have that. We don't have that capacity right now. So we're trying to make up for it with using hand gestures, with that kind of thing, and with vocal variation. If we can pull that off, that would be really, really important.
We spent a lot of time on the lines. What we haven't really gotten down is having how people are, where they're going to look, how they're going to look and interact with each other. If somebody has to hand someone else an object, they have to have that object, take their hand out of the frame, and then the person in the other has to have somebody hand them something so it looks somewhat like they're receiving that object from the other person.
Have left. The climate is bad.
Ow. What is it?
This problem right now is probably attendance, and that it's that way every year. We just haven't had a lot of rehearsals with everybody there, which we really, really need to have. And so that's exactly the same as it is every other year.
So how is actually the show being shown to the public?
We'll be able to click the link, go in, and watch and listen.
This has been Tauren Micklis for MxCC News.
And now you can find out more about information about the show at Brantford High School's website.
Speaking of websites, Hebron has officially gone all online to help ease coronavirus concerns in the community. Middlesex reporter Matthew Mancini has more on the story.
I'm standing in front of the Hebron town offices where they have just closed to the public due to COVID concerns. This comes amongst a bunch of other changes that have been created to keep the health and safety of the town and its employees. Closing was not the first idea that town officials decided on when trying to keep the safety of the town. However, as social distancing and face masks did decrease the number of cases per day, it still wasn't enough. Closing town offices for remote operations only was the least impactful way to reduce cases without closing completely. Services such as town clerk's office are available by appointment only, either by video call, phone, or if absolutely necessary, in person. Services such as the transfer station are now contactless, and attendants are no longer allowed to handle currency. On their website, they specifically say, "Our office has resumed regular office hours, but continued to rotate staff in an effort to protect those in high-risk categories and to support public health. Many of our services are available online, and we are here to help you with your specific needs." While unfortunately we were not able to reach out for a comment by anyone on the decision, we can rest assured that they are doing everything in their power to keep the safety of the town of Hebron and its employees. While these changes aren't necessarily ideal for the people who need to get access to other parts of the town, we can rest assured that the safety is going to be a lot better. Matthew Mancini reporting for Middlesex News.
Thank you for that report, Matt, and another reminder to continue to wear your mask. After the break, how the MakeAWish program is able to continue its operations during COVID.
And how the pandemic is impacting live music, all next on MxCC News.
So the reason I chose the Middlesex Veterinary Technology program was because of all the opportunities it had with Piper Olson Veterinary. There's no other place where you would have access to that. I would definitely recommend Middlesex to anybody who's interested in that career, because you're gonna be 100% prepared to start your job. That is really empowering.
I really had no idea of what I wanted to do, so I worked a lot of minimum wage jobs. And finally, I was just like, I just need to go back to school because I wanted to get a business degree. And Middlesex Community College was super convenient. I got a lot out of Middlesex. I never thought I would have reached this far with my associate's degree. It allowed me to buy a house. I was able to get married. It was a dream.
This year, MakeAWish Connecticut had to reinvent how it operates during the pandemic.
They can't grant travel wishes, but that's not stopping them from making dreams come true. MxCC News reporter Olivia Kalentek explains.
Here at MakeAWish Connecticut, staff members are working hard to grant wishes despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Travel wishes are on hold for the moment, however, state wishes are still being granted. We spoke with Lisa Brown, program director at MakeAWish Connecticut, to give us an idea of how they're dealing with the COVID pandemic and how they're still working to give kids hope during this important time.
We thought we'd be closed for 2 weeks and then we would be back. So we really weren't thinking this was going to be a long-term situation. After the 2 weeks, we really said, okay, well, we have to still grant wishes.
MakeAWish has still kept its promise, continuing to grant wishes and give hope during COVID-19. While travel and Disney wishes are postponed for the time being, they're working to complete their project wishes safely.
I've always said our protocols and our safety measures have to be higher than what is set by the standard or the CDC, because that's for atypical people, right? People that have healthy immune systems, people that don't have the issues that our kids have. So we take great care in making sure that our kids are safe. We're asking that everyone do everything virtually. If there is going to be any kind of contact, that it be outdoors and they wear masks and that they're sanitizing. You know, we're really pushing these guidelines with our wish granters, and they've been very careful in making sure that our kids are safe.
These are not the only changes that have affected MakeAWish during COVID.
Typically in a year, we'll grant about 240 wishes. When we went into COVID, we had probably about 30 wishes that were supposed to go between March and April, and we had to just basically postpone that. Right now, we have approximately 200 wishes in our pipeline, and 130 of those are to travel. So those have been postponed. This is when kids start getting really creative, and we've had a lot of puppy wishes, we've had pool wishes, room makeovers, shopping sprees, and now we have over 60 project wishes that we're working on now.
One of those wish kids was Gabby. Her wish was to go to Israel to see her grandfather. That was in the spring, and with travel on hold, she got surprised with a second wish.
It was a surprise. So my mom knew I always wanted a husky, so she just decided, why not change it to a husky? This is the perfect time. I am so excited for the puppy to come, for our dog right now to have a little friend.
To see these kids smile, I think it just spreads so much joy and so much hope while we're all waiting for the world to open up, and we're going to all get through this, and we're going to be viable, and we're going to come stronger on the other end.
In Trumbull, Olivia Klintek, MxCC News.
Well, wasn't that sweet? If you want to donate or volunteer, go to connecticut.wish.org for more information.
For most of the year, music venues have had to close their doors. MxCC News reporter Jaden Rogers tells us about how some venues are slowly starting to open back up.
Music venues across Connecticut have been hit very hard by the effects of the pandemic, with many not being able to reopen. The Bijou Theater in Bridgeport, Connecticut is fortunate enough to reopen, but they are still struggling.
I did not have any shows until October 24th, and that was only a movie. So I had 2 movies, one the 24th and then one the following week. And then, by the time I was doing the second movie, the numbers were all going up again, and they moved us back into phase 2.
Reopening, however, does not come at a small price.
I had to get plexiglass put up at my concession stand. I needed the floor stickers. The theater seats there are all, every other row is blocked off. I had to buy all the PPE for my employees. I have to provide all that before I can open the doors. So it was about $2,500 to $3,000 worth of spending I had to do just to reopen.
Joe Martorano, owner of the Trinity on Main Theater in downtown New Britain, was also able to slowly reopen.
Well, this year, starting in March, we did a lot of learning. We had a couple indoor things where you kind of learn on the fly. We're at 350 seats in here. I think the biggest show we had was like 70 or 80 people, and that was it.
Other venues, however, are not as lucky.
I know a lot of people in the industry, and a lot of people are losing their livelihood, losing their cars, their homes, and a lot of theaters are just shut down. They just shut down back in the beginning of March, second week of March, and they haven't reopened.
Thanks to the NIVA, many venues may still have hope.
Hopefully, if this CARES Act on the federal level, they call it Save Our Stages, there's supposed to be a large chunk of money set aside for venues just like this. If that gets passed, then I think it's a much better chance for most venues to reopen.
From Meriden, this is Jaden Rogers for Middlesex News.
To help save thousands of venues from permanent closure, you can donate and sign the petition at saveourstages.com.
That's all the time we have tonight.
Thanks so much for joining us. Have a safe and happy holidays.